Hello everyone, this is Cole Bamer, and I recently played the 2024 Silent Hill 2 Remake. It's funny, I never played the original despite being a Silent Hill fan, so my perspective of this game may be different from fans of the original series. Nevertheless, I want to give my input on this game, the good, the bad, and what could have made it better. I will come into this by saying that I personally liked the game, but felt there were some issues that brought it from a 10 out of 10 to more like a 7 or an 8 out of 10. I hope Konami continues to innovate with this franchise that I loved since the first game. Before I start, there will obviously be some spoilers, so you may want to hold off if you haven't played the game. Without further ado, let's get started. We start our story as James Sunderland looking into the mirror and on a mission to journey to Silent Hill to find our wife Mary, who died of a disease 3 years ago. From the moment we start our journey, you can feel the carefully crafted atmosphere, with fog and all types of sounds that make you feel like you are on edge and being watched. The graphics are quite wonderful, and the walk you take is a refreshing way to immerse yourself into the game. The first character we meet is Angela, who is looking for her mom in Silent Hill. Like James, she was drawn to the town. This first bit of dialogue between characters is actually quite incredible. They legitimately sound like strangers having an awkward conversation, and I am all for it.
Excuse me.
I'm sorry. I was just...
Hey, it's okay. I didn't mean to scare you. I'm kind of lost.
Lost?
Yeah, I'm looking for Silent Hill. Is this the right way?
Yeah. It's hard to see with this fog, but there's only the one road. You can't miss it.
Thanks.
But... I think you should stay away. This town, there's something wrong with it. And it's not just the fog, either.
Is it dangerous?
Maybe. It's kind of hard to explain, but...
I'll be careful.
You eventually get a map and start to make your way into the town, where you fight your first monster with a piece of wood with nails. It was a nice introductory to the combat system in the game, and as someone who plays a lot of older games, I really appreciated a well-made dodge mechanic, as they are almost non-existent in the games that I play. As you explore the town, you go through some small puzzles and learn the layout with documents laying about that really set the mood. The way the game has played so far reminds me of the first Silent Hill. Great pacing and very creative puzzles. You see a hole, which you're not sure if you should put your hand in, and in fact, the game makes you constantly second-guess yourself as James keeps stopping at certain points, requiring you to press the action button. It's like the game is asking the player, "Are you sure? Do you really want to do this?" Which keeps the suspension up, as I remember bad things happening when I stuck my hand in a hole in Silent Hill Homecoming. James gets a jukebox working by gluing together a record, and the music from it brings back memories of a place where he may be able to meet Mary. What a beautiful and believable scenario set up here. The only minor criticism I have at this point is that the streets are very large with not much in them. And pay attention, guys, because this is an important note. We end our exploration with a big windstorm with monsters trying to get you, and you must flee for your life, ending up in woodside apartments. This whole experience up to now, 10 out of 10, hands down. Inside the apartments, we start to familiarize ourselves with the layout. After dealing with a lot of dark areas, we finally find a flashlight that would have been much appreciated at the beginning of the game, similar to how we start in Silent Hill 1. We get jump scared, introduced to our second type of monster that I'm going to call Legs. Legs is pretty neat because they fight better than the Skitter monsters, hiding in plain sight to jump scare you more and dodging your attacks. When I'm exploring the apartments, it's starting to feel quite large, and I'm relying on my map a lot. A lot of the rooms are quite similar, which I guess isn't unexpected in an apartment, but we get a general collage of rooms with bullets and or health, empty rooms, and rooms with monster in them. Rinse and repeat. We meet Stompy for the first time, who stomps her hand. We find a gun after some time, which is when I first realized that they implemented the combat in such a way where you can shoot enemies and easily swing your melee weapon at them if they get too close. I cannot express how awesome the implementation of combat is in this. We get our first real puzzle where we have a safe in a room with writing on the walls, and we have to figure out how to get it open. I liked it. We meet Eddie for the first time. He's scared and mortified. It appears we might have met a friend as Eddie asks us to come with, but we have prior engagements. Something I liked about this is how kind James appeared.
Hey, who's there?
It wasn't me. I didn't do it. I didn't do it, I swear.
Hey, are you okay?
I didn't do anything. He was like that when I got here.
He? Oh, you mean the man back there? In the kitchen?
I didn't do it. I swear I didn't kill him.
Yeah, it's all right. I'm not saying that you did. Look, my name is James. James Sunderland.
Eddie.
Eddie, okay. So, do you live here, Eddie?
No. I'm not even from this town. It's just...
Something brought you here.
Yeah. Yeah, you could say that.
We finally get the coins we need to solve the puzzle that was at the beginning of the apartments. Again, I liked it, no real issue. I like puzzles, and it was a fun puzzle. You witness Pyramid Head attacking the leg monsters from a closet and shoot him, which causes him to go away, which I found a little strange, but perhaps symbolic of something. As we follow him, we enter into the other world of the apartments. The creepiest thing for me in Silent Hill games has always been the other world comes forth and changes everything around you in a twisted reflection of reality. In this game, the monsters change a little bit. We come across walls that need to be torn down. We come across another hole, or rather a toilet, that James disgustingly has to put his whole arm in. I'm thoroughly enjoying myself that I speak about the replay value of the game. We meet Angela again, who is acting cold and talking about how this is what we deserve, before going into full meltdown mode.
If I kept it, I'm not sure what I might do. No! I'm sorry! I've been bad! Please don't!
We enter the moth puzzle room, which becomes the bane of my existence because I didn't realize the game wanted me to press the action button, which is probably my fault, but I'm still a little bitter about it. Afterwards, we find our third hole, which kind of takes some of the magic out of the experience of putting your hand in it because it's starting to become repetitive. We solve the clock puzzle, which was an alright puzzle, and we open our last door to Pyramid Head, which becomes an intense and immersive life or death fight. The fight was good. The only thing I somewhat disliked about this was there was nothing in the game telling me I simply had to ride out the clock. I feel like it cheapened the experience a little bit, especially if I were to do another playthrough. We exit the apartments, where we meet Stompy for real this time, who tells us, "You didn't love Mary anyway," and runs off, leaving us to wonder who she is to James and Mary. We wander around outside until we meet Maria, who apparently looks like James's wife Mary and is way too familiar with James.
I can show you if you want. Unless you have somewhere else to be. Something else to do. Hey, easy there. I'm just messing with you.
I immediately have zero trust in her, and that trust goes below zero when she starts speaking so mysteriously as we approach the hotel. We change out our plank for a pipe. Just before we get into a hectic chase scene where we must run from all the monsters, I comment how this is a really well-made game, and we enter the strip club where Maria becomes even more uncomfortably familiar with us. We exit and get into the movie theater where Stompy and Eddie are watching a movie together and bonding. We scare Stompy away and approach Eddie, who seems aloof and annoyed by our presence.
Eddie?
Oh. You're,
James. We met back at the apartment building.
yeah. I remember.
We then follow Stompy to the hospital, which starts our next main section of the game, Brookhaven Hospital. At the hospital, we get a map and learn just how large this place is with many rooms and floors. Some of the puzzles weren't bad, although it was annoying going through the basement with Maria getting in our way. Fortunately, she needs some rest and lays down in one of the rooms while we go out to explore. We meet our next monster, the nurses, who give us the most engaging fights yet. They are good at dodging, swinging, and are quite unpredictable. Admittedly, not as scary as the nurses in the original Silent Hill, but put up a heck of a fight. The hospital does one thing very good, in that it paints a picture of things that were going on, and that there may be a real monster lurking about that we may meet later for a real boss fight. This thought that something may be lurking about that I might find unexpectedly really kept me on edge. But I was disappointed when I did not find anything in the pool. X-ray puzzle was cool. Look, there were a lot of puzzles in this game. Some may not like the amount, but I legitimately did not mind at all. I'm big on puzzles personally. I even liked the multi-tiered puzzle in the director's office with the hand that needed bracelets to release the keys to open another door in the same room to rearrange books, to figure out what the other puzzle was in the same room. I'm not being sarcastic, I like puzzles. Pyramid Head catches us lacking and throws us through the floor where we meet Stompy again, who locks us in a room to start our first real boss fight with a monster I'm going to call Lips. Not really the boss fight I was looking for when I was reading all the documents in the hospital, but still a stimulating boss fight nonetheless. Afterwards, we enter the otherworld version of the hospital, which has nurses in black, a big puzzle with multiple locks. I felt like, again, this version of the hospital was leading me to believe I was going to fight some giant deranged monster with all the documents and a room with restraints that clearly something escaped from. Again, I was going to be disappointed. Don't get me wrong, this isn't something I consider bad for this review, and I get that building up suspense makes things great, but if there's nothing for me at the end of the section, why build me up in the first place? Anyway.
Anyway? What do you mean, anyway?
We are in the basement of the Nightmare Hospital where Maria finds us, and is none too impressed with James's disappointed greeting, which actually makes me feel bad for Maria, and like we have been a jerk. Oh,
James.
Maria.
Mary. Oh. Maria, I thought. Sorry.
So disappointed.
Anyway, I'm glad you're alive.
Anyway? What do you mean, anyway? I was almost killed back there. I have never been so scared in my whole life. All you care about is that dead wife of yours.
You couldn't care less about me, could you?
No, I just...
Then stay with me. Don't leave me alone again. You're supposed to take care of me.
We finish the puzzle and attempt our escape only to be chased by Pyramid Head, who ends up killing Maria. This part made me so sad because she was scared to go in the first place, and I was starting to see her as a weak and scared person that we were indifferent to just to be killed in the end.
What's wrong? I thought you wanted to get out of here.
I know. It's just... something doesn't feel right.
Come on. It's gonna be fine.
No.
Come on, hurry!
No, 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 no. Get her through. Afterwards, we leave the hospital, and this is where I start to have problems with the game. The beginning, the apartments, and the hospital were all so huge. I was certain we were nearing the end. Remember this because it's an important part of our review. We are back out onto the streets of the other world crawling with monsters, and as we are trying to catch up to Stompy who has escaped, this part wasn't very memorable and wasn't very fun. For one thing that was getting on my nerves that was happening since the beginning of the game is the crickets or bugs. In Silent Hill 1, we had maybe a handful of times that our radio was going off due to a false alarm by like a ghost baby. In Silent Hill 2, we have mostly harmless bugs that have set off your radio ever since the very beginning. It really kills the suspense and mood at this point because we have dealt with it so much. Step 1, radio goes off, making us think there's a monster. Step 2, we find out it's a silly bug and kill it. Rinse and repeat 600 times, and sadly, I don't think I'm even over-exaggerating. I actually wish they took the bugs out of this game completely. That's how annoying I was finding them. Little ankle biters constantly running around. At this point in the game, I'm starting to worry less and less about my radio, which kills the feeling I would get in the first game when my radio was going off. We also have a bunch of walls to tear down. After spending hours in the game tearing down walls, we also have platforms we keep pushing to get us higher. Some cool things I will point out though, is we get introduced to the hanging monsters, and the game does a good job of taunting James and makes you feel like you are pushing to your impending doom. We meet Angela, who acts crazy some more, and go for a long, and I mean a long walk, to get to the Historical Society Museum or Art Gallery, which then makes us go for another seriously long walk down some stairs. I understand they are trying to make us feel like we are literally running into the pits of hell with how long the stairs go down, but it feels more tedious and copy-paste than anything. We jump down a hole, another important thing to remember for this game, and its holes. We enter a bug room puzzle, which is not only the worst puzzle in the game, but I think the worst puzzle that I've ever had to solve in any game. I go around for a long time looking around all over for the walls, while the game tells me nothing of what to do and gives me a 3-number padlock that I have to solve the code for. I had to simply just guess at it in the end, and was none too impressed with the lack of clues or any evidence of what the numbers could be. You can imagine how long it took me to guess, especially when I had to stop to kill 3 bugs constantly in a row. Awful puzzle. We jump down another hole to find Eddie, who is also starting to act crazy. James asks him if he killed I guess we'll call it a person. Eddie starts telling a story that keeps breaking apart before saying he was just kidding.
You should see your face, James. I was just joking. The guy was dead when I got here.
We learn that we are in Toluca prison, and once we get a map, we learn we are in another large and major part of the game. They introduce new monsters that I will call wall skitters, which were the second most annoying enemy in the game, under the bugs. Wall skitters really slowed you down from going forward. The prison also had these confusing switches which turn on the lights but didn't really explain what to do, and so I didn't use them. Overall, again, I found that a lot of rooms were the same, with a feeling of copy-paste for each section. We come across a puzzle where you get to open doors with animals on them by adjusting weights on a scale, which I thought was a cool touch. Once again, the game makes you feel like there's something big lurking in the prison, only for us to realize later that it was amping us up for nothing. Like, why did we get locked in a room with something bashing on the door only to find out it was a whole lot of nothing? Oh boy. Are you done? Are you done banging on my door? We find yet another hole to put our hand through, which brings a room full of monsters to life. Overdone hole and nothing special to get excited about. At this point in the game, we fight a lot of very similar monsters, and it feels a little tedious. I liked the poetry puzzle, and it was cool piecing together and figuring out who was the justified among the damned. I liked that the game punished you with a room full of monsters if you got it wrong. We leave the prison and we find another hole to jump through, which then leads to another hole to jump through, and we run into Angela once more, who is already panicking. We meet one of the grossest and coolest bosses, Abstract Daddy.
Daddy!
After reading some papers, we learn what this monster was supposed to represent for Angela and why she is the way she is. We come across TVs to hit that have dialogue either between James and Mary or more likely dialogue from Angela's father, and this was quite disturbing. The boss was somewhat stimulating but not overly difficult, and it really disgusted me to my core, and I would say the game did a good job with that. Angela expresses her disgust towards James and challenges if he really cared for Mary, which is the first time we see James get mad.
Your own little Mary.
At least she was. For a while.
What?
Admit it. You didn't want her around anymore.
No.
You probably found someone else.
No!
I need to find my mama.
I never.
One thing I have to point out is that the scenes and voice acting in this game were quite phenomenal. I liked the direction they took with each scene, making them very interesting and believable. Speaking of interesting and believable, we run into Maria, who turns out to be alive, and she immediately starts gaslighting James.
Maria! I thought that thing killed you. Are you hurt?
Not at all, silly.
But the thing... It stabbed you. There was blood everywhere.
Stabbed me? What do you mean?
It chased us to the elevator and then...
James, what are you talking about?
Stop gaslighting me.
Just before. Don't you remember?
James? Honey? Did something happen to you? After we got separated in that long hallway? Are you confusing me with someone else? You were always so forgetful.
The scene here is probably the best thing I've seen in any game for being realistic and eerie and believable. The acting is quite phenomenal and entrenches me in the story. Who is Maria? How is she alive? Why is she behaving so differently?
I am here for you, James. See? I'm real. Don't you want to touch me?
I don't know.
Well, if you happen to make up your mind, I'll be waiting.
I'll find some way to... I'll come back, I promise.
We then come to a really bad puzzle and sequence of events that I simply did not care for in the slightest. We move around a cube to move a room with it and be able to get to the next place. We go to an otherworld type of place, find a hole, find items to drop an object to create a hole in the ground, so we can, you guess it, jump through it slowly. This lands us back to where we were, and we have to spin the cube room again to get to another point. In this area, we have to move platforms, turn valves, and gather items just so we can get to the next hole to jump through. Rinse and repeat one more time, where we get to an area where we end up having a battle royale to get from one room to the next. Still tedious, but a welcome change from what we were doing. We end up getting to the side Maria was on, only for the game to break our hearts again and show us that she was still dead all along. I'm so confused. Afterwards, we go to the area with a spinning cube to find Pyramid Head's sword that we carry as James to get to the next part. This part was cool because it seems symbolic that Pyramid Head may be a manifestation of James and perhaps his need to be punished. That being said, the carrying of the sword was ultra slow and could have been sped up. We jump through more holes to meet up with Eddie, who seems tense and asking the dead monster how many times he has to kill it.
Couldn't leave well enough alone, huh? You just had to follow me all the way out here. How many times do I have to kill you?
He then trauma dumps, suggesting that he has been bullied for his weight, and maybe surfacing his own insecurities about himself.
Maybe I am. Nothing but a fat, disgusting piece of shit. But you know what? It doesn't matter if you're smart, dumb, ugly, pretty. It's all the same once you're dead. And a corpse can't laugh!
He points his gun at James, accusing him of looking down on Eddie, where James hits him and tells him he needs help. Eddie leaves, telling us we're not so different from one another, and we see that his version of a monster looks like a regular person. This opens us up for a boss fight with Eddie, which is so tragic to me, but at the same time, so unbelievably stimulating from a gameplay perspective. Fighting your first human from the monsters, who can shoot at you, but also run up and melee attack you amongst the hanging torsos. This really was incredibly fun and tragic fight where we must put Eddie down to survive. After this fight, the game couldn't help itself but make us go on a long canoe ride where we manually move the boat, and it's no real challenge other than being a time waster. We finally reached the Lakeview Hotel, where I am utter disbelief that there is still more to the game. We run into Stompy, who seems a little cooler with James and wants to find a letter. The tune that the game starts to set makes us start to speculate on exactly what was going on with James and why he was called to the town. Was he cheating on his wife? Not really taking the time to see her in the hospital? Did Maria represent an escort James used when his wife was sick? Unfortunately, a lot of the rooms in the hotel seem the same again, with some monsters and some having general healing items or bullets. We reached an odd puzzle where we rearranged books, and I just guessed it since it didn't seem to correlate with the wall painting in a logical way. We come across a mirror puzzle where you have to put together piece by piece a broken mirror, which was right up my alley. We fight some wall skitters that I was hoping to be done with since the prison. We come across a lock to the third floor hallway which couldn't be cut by the bolt cutters we had, which I thought was really silly. Look, it's a small detail, but don't give me heavy bolt cutters and then tell me I can't destroy a tiny lock with them. We fight one of those hanging monsters as a boss, which wasn't really anything to get overly excited about. We take the employee elevator down into the basement, but before we can do this, we have to lessen our weight by removing all our items. I really liked this part because it was very different from the gameplay in general. We had to sneak around and run away from enemies to stay alive. I felt on edge not having anything to protect myself. So this was a welcome change of pace. We solve puzzles, turn some valves, and get back to where we need to be. We finally have all 3 figurines to solve one of the final puzzles to get us to the 3rd floor hallway, where we presume we will meet Mary because we heard her scream. James sits down in a room with a television that has a tape player. He puts the tape in, where we sadly learn that James killed his wife. Stompy comes in to have James break the news to her, and this scene really crushed me.
Hey, there you are. Do you know where Mary is? Come on, talk to me.
Mary's gone. She's dead.
Liar. That's a lie.
No. It's the truth.
She died because she was sick?
No.
I killed her.
me. I knew it. You didn't care about her. I hate you, James. I hate you, I hate you, I hate you! She was always waiting for you. Why? Why?
Not only did I feel so bad for Mary and what Stompy said, but I also was stunned because, as a character, James seemed so kind and genuine, like he didn't want her to fly. We go through the final bits of this area in complete melancholy as we take in the news we just learned. We meet with Angela for the last time, who thinks James is her mama. When she comes to her senses, she breaks down and she says she deserves everything that has happened to her. When James tries to console her, she challenges him and starts walking away. James mentions it's hot as hell noticing the fire, which surprises Angela because she sees the fire at all times. We finally enter a room where Maria is apparently alive again, just to be killed again by two pyramid heads that causes James to break down. James claims he knows why he needed a pyramid head, but he doesn't need them anymore, which is likely vague to allow the fan theories to accumulate. We begin a fight with two pyramid heads, which is pretty fun and daunting. At the end, they just stab themselves, I guess, when they realize James doesn't need them. I also wish they made Pyramid Head a little bigger to make him more menacing. Lastly, we enter a long hallway where Mary is talking to us, which makes the long walk more bearable. She seems so sad and like she is trying to push him away with her dialogue. We end up seeing Mary in an emotional reunion where she tells him he killed her and he has to face the ugly truth of what he did and why.
Mary?
You killed me, James.
Yes. I did. I couldn't bear to see you suffer.
Don't make excuses. I know how you saw me, how you felt. You really hated me. Didn't you?
It's true, I may have had some of those feelings. It was a long 3 years. I was so tired.
While we are feeling awfully remorseful for poor Mary, she turns into a monster that we have to fight. This was also a really well done fight. Bugs are released that you have to fight and dodge while trying to shoot Mary, who is staying far away from you. We end up fighting a floor down, trying to dodge bugs and attacks while trying to catch Mary off guard hanging around. We go down another floor where Mary is walking around following us, and we have to do a better job of dodging attacks and getting her in her openings. Despite a funny glitch where my gun suddenly goes poof. Where's my gun? What? I really enjoyed this fight. I also felt quite horrified because after learning James killed his wife, we actually have to kill her again while she is softly calling for us as a monster. After we kill her, we just randomly come up to Maria, and who is somehow alive in the strip club. She gives James Stompy's letter that he just puts away and tells Maria, let's go. We get back to the beginning of the game with Maria by her side, and she starts coughing, where James tells her she better do something about that cough in a harsh tone.
Better do something about that cough.
The game ends, which I hated. I understand that, like most Silent Hills, there are multiple endings, but I hated how this ending was James just being a jerk to another person who may be sick, continuing a seemingly vicious cycle. I've also never been a fan of the way the most random things completely change the endings in Silent Hill games. Silent Hill 1, you get the bad ending if you miss going to a room that the doctor is in trouble. In this Silent Hill, you get the bad Maria ending when you, quote, spend too much time with her, unquote. How was I supposed to know I was spending too much time with her and showing too much interest in her? Apparently I got the ending because I let her finish her dialogues as well. It just felt like a poor way to choose an ending in my perspective. So, what do I think of this game? The good. I loved this game's story. I won't go through the details again, but I was mesmerized by the story. What was going to happen? What happened to James's wife? Who are these characters? The characters interact with each other in such a believable and interesting way. The characters themselves also seemed quite unique and not one-dimensional. I loved the cinematic direction of the cutscenes. The music was very good and eerie and had a way of keeping you on edge. The atmosphere really hit the mark and allowed you to get entrenched in the game. While I would have appreciated more direct boss fights, the ones that I did get to experience were quite good for the most part. The combat mechanics were absolutely superb, and I can't say enough about it since I have played my fair share of games with bad combat or movements. The choice between your melee weapon or your different guns were great. A proper dodge mechanic was more than welcome. The puzzles, even though there were quite a few I hated, really were a welcome thing for me. I like puzzles, and this game has a lot of puzzles that were all unique from one another. Enough said. The graphics and lighting were also quite incredible and beautiful. The bad. I feel like this game was too big for the wrong reasons. It's funny because I feel like the developers wanted to give the players a full experience, but for me, it cheapened the experience and made the game start to feel like a task full of empty rooms that were just copied and pasted. Don't get me wrong. I like big games that are big for a reason, well done, but it seemed like this game was just made big just for the sake of making it big. I saw other players comparing it to the original, showcasing how much bigger each section was in the remaster. When I compare this game to the original Silent Hill 1, I feel the same way. In Silent Hill 1, each room seemed lovingly handcrafted and short and interesting. In the Silent Hill 2 remaster, you have a lot of the same generic-looking rooms that either have an enemy or two or some ammo or health, and there's seriously a lot of them. I would have preferred less rooms and smaller maps if it meant that each area was going to be more uniquely designed. The sheer amount of enemies started to become a chore as well, which made me focus more on how big the game was. If I have a bunch of rooms to clear, topped up with a bunch of enemies to fight over and over, just to get from one place to another, it really doesn't do anything for me. It's not just the rooms that make it too long or too big either. When we find our first hole to put our hand in, the experience keeps you on the edge of your seat, as you don't know what to expect. And James keeps stopping, making you second guess if this is the right decision. It happens again with the toilet hole, and you still feel it. But after 15 holes, the experience of James stopping you every second becomes annoying, and the whole magic of it dies. Same with jumping down holes where James keeps asking the player, "Are you sure? Are you sure?" Why do we have 50 valves in the game, or push 50 carts that allow us to access areas that are high up, or break down 100 walls to get to the other side? You see, as a gamer, for me, repetition just kills the magic in any game. Even if I find something cool, it loses its zazz after the third time if I have to do it again. Why did we have these areas where we were just running around for long periods with nothing going on? The amount of times you fight enemies also loses its allure as there are too many to fight. They stop becoming scary. Once again, why did the game have to build me up that there was a big bad boss around the corner, just to go through a whole section with nothing of the sort? Why are there bugs? No, seriously, who thought these bugs added a shred of value to this game? In fact, they thought that these bugs added so much value they included 3,000 of them, along with a bug-based puzzle room that was the worst one in the game. Look, I liked this game, and I will likely replay it a few times, where in contrast, I played and beat Silent Hill 1 probably around 20. If it was a movie, I think it would have been an incredible movie. As a game, I still enjoyed it, but was frustrated by some of these bad choices they put into it. I would have made it much smaller, more focused on unique and intriguing room designs while slashing the monster count in half. I would have made sure the holes occurred no more than a few times, and maybe sometimes putting your hand in the hole was the wrong thing to do. I would have removed the carts completely and likely utilized the valves only a few times. I would have made sure the player does not just sit there holding up for minutes at a time with generic copy-paste surroundings. I say this because this game could have been a perfect 10 for me, but these problems brought it down to an 8, which doesn't make it a bad experience, but does leave some to be desired. If you played this game, please share in the comments below what you thought of it. Do you agree with me? Do you feel the same way? Or do you have a different perspective? If anyone is interested, my gameplay of this game is uploaded where you can see exactly what I thought was very good or very bad. But thank you for watching, and if you like my content, feel free to like, subscribe, hit that notification button, and I will see you guys on my next playthrough. Bye-bye.